Mia had always been different, and not in a way that made her stand out for good reasons. Her features were not like those of the girls she saw on TV or in magazines. She had large, round eyes, a nose that was a little too big for her face, and lips that were thinner than most. Her hair, though long, was tangled and unruly, often looking as though it had been brushed by a storm. No matter how much she tried to change herself, the world around her only reminded her that she didn't fit in. At school, Mia was invisible. She was the girl who walked in the back of the hallways, her head always down, hoping no one would notice her. She didn't have many friends, and those she did have were often too kind to tell her the truth, that no one wanted to hang out with someone who didn't look like them. But the real cruelty came from home. Mia's stepmother, Felicia, made sure to remind her every day of her supposed shortcomings. "You'll never be loved with a face like that," Felicia would say, smirking as Mia passed by. "No one would ever want someone as ugly as you." These words stung, each one landing like a heavy punch to her heart. Mia had heard them so many times that they became a part of her. Felicia had 2 daughters, both of whom were what society deemed beautiful. They were tall, slender, with perfect smiles and flawless skin. They never had to worry about being accepted or admired. They were the popular girls, always surrounded by friends, always the center of attention. Mia was always the outsider, always the one who was ignored or, worse, laughed at. At home, Mia was treated like an outsider too. Her stepmother and stepsisters made her do all the chores. While they sat in front of the TV, laughing and chatting about their day, Mia would scrub the floors, wash the dishes, and clean up after them. Sometimes, when she was working alone in the kitchen or her room, the sound of their laughter would travel down the hallway, and she would sit silently, wishing she could be part of their world. Just for a moment, one evening, after yet another round of teasing and mockery from Felicia, Mia could take no more. She needed to escape, to get away from the hurtful words that haunted her in every room of the house. As soon as she finished washing the dishes, she grabbed her jacket, slipped quietly out the door and into the cold night air. The streets were quiet and the world felt peaceful in a way that her home never did. Mia walked for hours, her feet taking her through the empty streets of the town. Her mind raced with thoughts of all the things she hated about herself. She thought about how no one would ever love her, how she would always be the ugly stepdaughter, the girl who no one noticed. The tears that had been building up for years finally spilled over, and she let herself cry. As she walked aimlessly, she didn't notice the man standing by the park until she nearly bumped into him. He was tall, wearing a worn cowboy hat and a faded blue denim shirt. He looked out of place in this small town, yet there was something about him that made Mia pause. "Hey, you okay?" he asked, his voice deep and soothing. Mia wiped her tears quickly, embarrassed to be caught in such a vulnerable state. "I'm fine," she muttered, looking away. She didn't want to talk to him, not when she felt so broken inside. But the man didn't give up. "I've seen that look before. You don't have to be alone, you know," he said, stepping closer but keeping a respectful distance. "I'm Cole. I'm just passing through, but I can tell you're going through something tough. Maybe talking about it would help." Mia looked up at him, surprised by his gentle words. She had expected him to walk away or, worse, make fun of her like everyone else. But this stranger wasn't laughing at her. He seemed real. She took a deep breath, trying to steady her emotions. "I don't have anyone to talk to," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Everyone always tells me I'm not good enough, that I'm ugly and that no one will ever care about me." Cole tilted his head, his eyes softening with understanding. "I can promise you one thing. No one should ever make you feel like that. You're more than just your looks, you know." Mia was taken aback by his words. No one had ever said something so kind to her before, not even her own family. She didn't know how to respond, so she simply stood there, lost in his sincerity. For the next hour, the two of them sat together on the park bench. Cole shared stories about his life as a cowboy, his travels, and the adventures he had. Mia listened, finding comfort in the way he spoke. No pretensions, no judgment, just the simple truth of his experiences. She found herself laughing at some of his stories, a sound she hadn't heard from herself in years. When the evening began to darken, Cole stood up, brushing off his jeans. "I need to get going," he said, offering her a warm smile. "But listen, I know this sounds strange, but you don't have to be alone anymore. I can show you a different world, one where people don't judge you for what you look like." Mia felt a flicker of hope she hadn't felt in ages. "You would do that?" she asked, uncertain. Cole nodded. I'll be around tomorrow. Meet me at the park and I'll show you something that will change your mind about yourself. No one deserves to feel like they don't matter, Mia. She hesitated for a moment, then on impulse reached out and took his hand. It was a simple gesture, but it felt like the most important thing she had done in a long time. For the first time, someone saw her. Really saw her for who she was, not for how she looked. Thank you, she whispered, her voice breaking. I'll be there. Cole gave her a reassuring smile. I'll be waiting. The next day, Mia woke up early, her heart racing with nervous excitement. She had never agreed to meet anyone like this before, especially after years of feeling unworthy. But something about Cole's kindness the night before made her feel like maybe, just maybe, there was hope for her after all. She took a deep breath as she looked into the mirror. For once, she didn't focus on the imperfections she had grown used to seeing. Her eyes, though large, were kind and thoughtful. Her nose, though not perfect, was hers, and her lips had a softness to them when she smiled. She wasn't sure if she had ever really smiled before, but the thought of meeting Cole made her want to try. Mia quickly dressed in the best clothes she had. Nothing fancy, just a simple blue blouse and jeans that fit her comfortably. She tied her hair back in a loose ponytail and took one last look at her reflection. This is who I am, she said to herself softly, surprising even herself with the words. For the first time in a long while, she didn't feel the urge to hide. When she arrived at the park, Cole was already there waiting for her. He stood tall, his cowboy hat tipping slightly to one side, his posture relaxed but confident. When he saw Mia, his face broke into a warm smile. You made it, he said, his voice full of genuine happiness. Mia smiled back, feeling a warmth she hadn't known in years. I didn't want to miss this. Cole motioned for her to join him. I'm glad you came. I've got something I want to show you, something that might change the way you see yourself. Mia raised an eyebrow but followed him as he led her toward a horse tied to a nearby post. The horse was large and beautiful, with a glossy chestnut coat and dark eyes that seemed to look right into her soul. This here is Daisy, Cole said, brushing a hand gently over the horse's mane. She's strong, just like you, Mia. I want to show you how powerful you really are, how much more you are than just what you see on the outside. Mia felt a knot form in her stomach. She had never been around horses before, and the idea of riding one made her nervous. I don't know, she said, stepping back slightly. I'm not really good at anything. I mean, what if I mess up? Cole smiled gently, his eyes kind. It's okay to be nervous, but you won't know until you try. I'll be here, guiding you the whole way. He placed his hand on her shoulder, giving her a reassuring squeeze. Mia hesitated for a moment, then took a deep breath. Okay, I'll try. She wasn't sure what had changed inside her, but something about Cole's confidence made her feel like maybe she could do this after all. Cole helped her mount Daisy, showing her the right way to hold the reins and how to sit properly in the saddle. As they began to walk around the park, Cole stayed close, offering quiet advice. With every step, Mia's nerves started to ease. The gentle rhythm of Daisy's movements was calming, and Mia felt a sense of peace she hadn't known she could feel. You're doing great, Cole said, his voice warm with encouragement. Mia smiled, feeling a small spark of pride. For the first time in a long while, she felt like she was doing something right. As they rode around, Mia started to talk more, telling Cole about her life, about the cruelty of her stepmother, the loneliness she felt, and the pain of being told she wasn't good enough every day. Cole listened carefully, his face serious but compassionate. He didn't interrupt, just let her speak her truth. When Mia finally finished, there was a long pause before Cole spoke. I don't know why people treat you like that, Mia. I don't know why they can't see how strong you are, how kind you are. But I do know this, you're worth more than they'll ever understand. You don't need their approval to know your own value. Mia felt her heart swell at his words, and for the first time, she felt a flicker of something that had long been buried. Hope. Hope that maybe she could be more than the ugly girl her stepmother and the world had always made her feel like. The day passed slowly, and as the sun began to set, the park grew quieter. Mia had never felt so alive, so free. She felt like she was part of something bigger, something beautiful. She looked at Cole, who was walking beside her now, his smile never fading. I never thought I could do something like this, Mia said softly, her voice filled with awe. I always thought I was too weak, too ugly. Cole looked at her seriously now, his expression unwavering. Don't ever think that again. You are stronger than you know. You are beautiful just as you are, and the people who don't see that are the ones who are blind. Mia smiled, a real, genuine smile. Thank you, she said, her voice thick with emotion. I never thought anyone would say that to me. Cole smiled back, his eyes full of warmth. I'm not the only one who sees it, Mia. You just need to believe it. Before Mia could respond, she heard the sound of familiar voices. Her heart sank as she turned to see her stepmother, Felicia, and her stepsisters walking towards them. They were laughing as usual, but when they saw Mia, their laughter stopped abruptly. Mia? Felicia's voice was dripping with mockery. What are you doing here, looking all ridiculous? Do you really think you belong here with these people? Mia's heart pounded in her chest, and she felt her old fears return. She had spent so many years trying to stay out of their way, trying to avoid their judgment. But now it seemed like there was nowhere to hide. Before Mia could say anything, Cole stepped forward, placing himself firmly between her and her stepmother. His presence was commanding, and he spoke with a calm, steady voice that made Felicia take a step back. Mia belongs here just as much as anyone else, Cole said, his words clear and strong. She's been nothing but kind, and she's shown more strength than you'll ever know. So don't you dare talk to her like that again. Felicia's face twisted in disbelief, but she didn't say anything more. Her stepsisters, who had been standing behind her, looked uncomfortable, though they didn't speak up. Mia felt a wave of gratitude wash over her, and for the first time she didn't feel the need to shrink away. She stood taller, her shoulders back as she looked at Cole, who had defended her without hesitation. Thank you, Mia whispered, her voice trembling. Cole turned to her, his face softening. You don't need to thank me. You're worth standing up for. Always have been. Mia smiled, feeling something inside her shift. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel like the ugly girl who had no place in the world. She felt seen, heard, and most importantly, loved by someone who didn't care what she looked like, but only cared about who she was. As Felicia and her daughters walked away, defeated, Mia stood tall, no longer hiding behind the shadows of self-doubt. She had found her strength, and with Cole by her side, she knew that she could face anything the world had to offer.